Thank you very much. Mr. Rivera is recognized.
Thank you, Madam Chair. For both panelists, I'm intrigued, particularly because of your military experience, to inquire as to what you think the difference is over history in terms of the practicality of being able to execute war. Warfare has changed a lot since the time of Adams and Jefferson, and what risks possibly could be posed, or how you would respond to those that would critique your proposals by potential risks to our national security because of expedited time frames perhaps that could occur in terms of the jeopardy to our troops, in terms of having a drawn-out conversation or discussion about some of these national security matters or military matters. How do you respond to those that would raise those issues?
Well, I thank the gentleman for the question. It's certainly something near and dear to my heart. After serving our country in uniform for 24 years active and 29 years total, counting the National Guard when I was high school and college, it's something I'm firmly committed to now and all days forward. But I would also tell you that what this bill does is we put in the Reform Act the clause, the imminent threat of attack. We put that in there so the President can respond to emerging situations to protect our country. Now, keep in mind that the founders also looked at these issues, and they certainly expected that the Commander-in-Chief would be able to be empowered to repel attack, to take actions to protect the homeland. So I would tell you that, and I think also with regard to the ranking member, something he mentioned earlier, it's important to note that when President Roosevelt came here to the Congress on the 8th of December, when he reported to the Congress, he said, "I have taken actions already consistent as the Commander-in-Chief." And I asked that the Congress declare that a state of war exists. So I think it's important because there's a recognition there that the Commander-in-Chief has a role, but so does the people. Their representatives have a role by coming and declaring war. Now, that's the first thing I would say, sir. And then the second thing I would say is that in particular circumstances, the Congress comes together to either authorize or not authorize action. In this case here, in this current conflict, we have authorized. We have authorized military actions against those who planned, coordinated, and conducted the attacks against our country on the 11th of September. So there's an authorization already from the American people by way of their representatives to conduct such operations, such as the one that occurred in Abbottabad, Pakistan, as we went after public enemy number one, the mastermind, the commander of the forces that attacked our country.
Mr. Rooney?
Oh, when I was referring to Abbottabad, it was simply as an example of how things, but you're absolutely right. I would certainly put that within the jurisdiction of that authorization. But, you know, with things that would occur around the world that might not fall within the jurisdiction of that authorization, which I think is what you're sort of referring to, absolutely. I have to say to Colonel Gibson, I haven't read his bill, so I don't want to speak to it. I'm simply speaking for my own resolution, which I know, sir, that you think that it's continuing to act hypocritical or sense of Congress stuff is just acquiescing. I've been here for 3 years. This is the first time we've gone into this territory since I've been here, and we're introducing a resolution. So hopefully you don't think that's acquiescing. You know, we're trying to, I think, do what the people sent us here to do, and that's to follow the rule of law, which as the Commander-in-Chief, the President of the United States, his primary goal is the Chief Law Enforcement Officer. So if he ignores the War Powers Act, as other presidents have, my question that I look in the mirror and say, what are you going to do about it, which is the result which results with this resolution. So I would get back to also, though, I do believe that the we could amend the 60, 90-day, however, but I do believe, and this might be counter to what my colleague here, his proposal is saying, I do believe that there are circumstances where the President, as Commander-in-Chief, should have the authority in the middle of the night to make a decision where he might not be able to get congressional approval. And I think that the War Powers Resolution addresses that by saying, but within 60 days, it should be plenty of time to get our authorization to continue and to get us on board. And I think that, you know, my resolution simply says that, to adhere to the rule of law as it exists. I think that the gentleman from New York goes beyond that, and I can't speak to that, but I certainly, you know, would be open to that. But I'm simply saying the law that we have now is being ignored. The Congress's role is basically irrelevant now unless we do something about it, and that's why, you know, I think that my resolution would request the President to adhere to the rule of law.
Mr. Gibson, did you want to follow up?
Thank you very much. I do. Very quickly, I just want to assert beyond any shadow of a doubt that I absolutely do believe we need to go further. We have specific moments of authorization that are in the Reform Act, and that beyond that, if the President wants to act, he must come here. And we tie it to obligation and expending of funds. That's really the point. The point is that I think that there is enough authorization here for the Commander-in-Chief to act to defend us, defend our country. But beyond that, we should be involved. The American people should have a say. So if it's not an imminent threat to our country, if the President wants to move in the middle of the night, he's going to have to wait until he comes to the American people by way of their representatives first.
Thank you very much.